everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I promised that I would be back where I am Jen Tardy. I am your diversity recruiting thought partner, and today we get to talk about something that's in the mainstream, a conversation that's so important, which is how to combat the Great Resignation. And I have a lot of thoughts about it. So if you're interested, see me on the other side. But before you go to the other side, click subscribe. Let's stay connected and let's really build and grow a community here where together we're working to increase diversity. So now I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so as we think about how to combat the Great Resignation, it's not always about just give them more money or, people will stay for more money. It's not even about that all the time. I want to give you some things to really consider that as I'm talking with different employers through consulting and training programs, here are some other things that can work besides, breaking the bank, because not everyone is motivated by an increase in pay. So there are 4 things, 3, maybe 3.5 things, right? This is a reach, that I really want you to consider as you're thinking about how you and your workplace can combat the Great Resignation. The very first one, and you're probably not going to like it as much, but it's still important for me to say, do you really have a turnover issue? Do you have an issue with retention? I'm actually talking to employers who are like, we looked at the data, and even though we kind of thought that something was wrong, it really wasn't. We're actually, below industry standard. And even though those organizations are still paying attention to retention. So even though those organizations are still paying attention to it, they're realizing that's not really the issue that they have, thankfully. So they're doing some great things within their work environment. So the very first consideration is really making sure that you do really have a problem, because what can happen is you're seeing all of these articles and all of these blogs that are talking about the Great Resignation, and it may be a problem to many, but maybe it's not a problem for you. The second thing that I really want you to consider is it an isolated problem, right? So who's leaving? Do you have any demographic data on those who are leaving? And then taking those particular groups and really trying to understand through the exit interview data, right? What are they saying? And if you don't have an exit survey, please make one. And if you're still doing those exit surveys in-house, please outsource those, because the people who are leaving your company will feel more comfortable telling a stranger their truth than telling someone within your organization their truth on why they're leaving. And what you really want to know, if you're trying to understand if this is an isolated problem or not, you want to know the truth. Okay, now back to my point. Is this an isolated situation among particular groups? And let me be honest too, is this an isolated situation among particular leaders? Are people within that one leader's hierarchy, are they the ones leaving? So is it a leader problem, or is it isolated to a particular group, and really using the data to drive an understanding of what is the hurdle that they're facing? What is the barrier, the hurdle? What is the challenge? What is the problem? And then being able to solve for that. Because right now, if it is a particular group, then they are, in context of this conversation, your most vulnerable population. And I always tell people that if you begin to think about solving issues, if you can solve issues for your most vulnerable populations, then everyone wins. Did you hear that? Create solutions for your most vulnerable populations and everybody wins. And it's important to say that last one was the 2-parter. Now do you see why I said maybe 3.5, 4? So it was a 2-parter. The first part is this an isolated situation? The second part is, now what's their challenge? Okay, so that was a 2-parter, just so you know. Number 4, how do you combat the Great Resignation? Something you can do is bring people back. Now, let's say that you have people who may have left your organization, and now you've made all these changes, all these process improvements and new philosophies, and it's a better work environment, non-toxic, no microaggressions. And let's say all of this is fixed now, right? And why not welcome people back to your organization? Have you ever considered that before? Some organizations call it a boomerang program, where you go back and you look at the data and you look throughout the organization at who are some of who left, number one, maybe who left within the last 3 years. Maybe the grass isn't really greener on the other side for them, and they do have an interest in coming back to your organization. But some of them, without an invite from you, they may not know that they're actually welcome to come back to your organization. So when you go through the data and you're seeing, okay, who left, of those who left, who is eligible for rehire, which is also important. Of those who left and who's eligible for rehire, who were the top performers? Learning about performance either from data or qualitatively through the previous managers that they reported to as well. And then once you actually get that list, send them a warm welcome and say, we invite you to apply to our job opportunities. We miss you. Maybe the grass isn't greener. Do you want to come back? But of course, you're going to find a fantastic way of asking the same question too on your end. So number one, do you even really have a problem? So looking at the data to really make sure that you have a problem. Number two, if you do have a problem, is it isolated to a particular group or to a particular manager? Number three, once you figure out if it's isolated, then ask, well, what is the problem? What is the barrier? How do I remove it before they leave? And then number four, begin thinking about inviting people back. And so I hope that this information was valuable to someone, even if just one. And if it was, and you like what I'm talking about here, then you're going to love some of our other videos as well too. So again, I'm Jen Tardy. I am your diversity recruiting thought partner, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.